Hello again, YouTube. This is Don Zico, and I've got another battle report. Today it's another double header. The first game is going to be between my Swedish comp list that I'm planning on taking the Southern Assault in July, playing against Warriors of Chaos. So let's get into it. So in my corner, I've got on my left flank my 20 Black Guard. Then I've got my Warriors with Sorceress in them. And I've got my Dark Riders ahead of them, vanguarded up. Now the goal there basically is to try and use them as to flee from charges or to redirect, so that the Black Guard don't get combi charged by both those Warriors and that Gorbius Chariot. Because I feel like they can handle the Warriors, but they can't handle a combi charge from both. So that's the objective there. Then I've got my Dragon in the middle because I wasn't really sure where the Dragon was going to be most needed, so I kind of set him in the middle so that he could go where he needed to go. Next to him is my Cauldron of Blood, and then moving across onto my right, there's my crossbowmen are on the hill in front of the dragon, and then moving across onto my right, I've got my big unit of Cold One Knights, all 13 of them plus a character, and then I've got my 5 Dark Riders that are vanguarded up, and again their goal is to allow the Dark Riders to get the Cold One Knights to get a charge against those Skull Crushers up there. Because if he charges me, I'm in serious trouble. But if I charge him, I should have no trouble killing him. Basically, my thought going in is I need to not get killed by shooting or magic, and I need to charge his big stuff with my Dragon and my Black Guard and my Cold Ones. So that's what I've got. Then on the Warrior side, he's got, up on his right flank, he's got a Gorbius Chariot, Mark Nurgle. Next to that is a unit of maybe 18 Warriors. Those are Mark Nurgle, and they have halberds. Beside them, he's got a unit of dogs in the front. And then beside them, he's got his unit of Chosen. I think, again, maybe like 15 of them, somewhere in that neighborhood. They're also armed with halberds and also Mark Nurgle. They wound up rolling, I think, +1 initiative, which didn't really matter in this game. And then moving across his line, he's got a regular Chaos Chariot, also Mark Nurgle. He's got 4 Skull Crushers. Then he has a unit of 4 Chaos Trolls. He's got another unit of dogs. He has a Hell Cannon back in the corner there, and he's got his General, which is a level 4 mage of Zinch on a disc with metal magic, so that's no good. I mean, I've got a lot of metal, and I've got a lot of armor, and metal magic is dangerous. And then I forgot to mention earlier, but he has a Battle Standard Bearer in his Chosen, which I think he's got like the Helm of Many Eyes and something like that. So it's nothing too crazy, but he's got a BSB in there. Alright, so I got first turn. You can see on my left, I'm basically just kind of advancing with my Dark Riders, my Dragon, my Black Guard, my Warriors, my crossbows. I think that they're in range of the dogs, and that's all they were really planned on shooting at, so they stay put. Then on my right flank, I move up my Cold One Knights, and I move up my Dark Riders in front of them, and the measurements are such. Basically what I was hoping was that he would be tempted to charge my Dark Riders with his Skull Crushers, and that they'd be able to flee and pull the Crushers just enough forward that the Cold One Knights would have a decent charge at them. So that's movement. Then in my magic phase, I rolled like 9 dice or something to that effect, and I've only got 1 mage that knows Fireball and nothing else, so I thought to myself, he's got trolls. Chaos Trolls are pretty vulnerable to a big Fireball. Let's risk a miscast. It probably won't be anything that terrible, and just throw everything at a big Fireball and the trolls. So I do that, and I get Irresistible Force, and I go to roll the number of hits, and I roll triple 1s. So I get 3 hits against the trolls, which lead to 2 wounds. So that sucks. And then I go to roll the miscast, and I get a 10, so my mage is reduced D3 levels. She's only level 1 to start with, so she's now a level 0 mage. I have so at the end of turn 1, in exchange for 2 wounds on a troll, I have given up my only mage, and now have no real magic defense other than a scroll against his level 4 metal mage. Yikes. So anyway, in my shooting phase, I shoot at his dogs, and I kill the unit in front of his Skull Crushers, and I kill 2 off of the other unit. And that's pretty much it for my turn 1. So that brings us to Warriors turn 1. He charges his remaining 2 Warhounds into my Dark Riders. Or maybe it's that there are 2 of them after I stand and shoot. I don't know. The point is 2 of them get into close combat. And he just kind of moves up with his infantry and his chariot and all that. And then on in front of my knights, he this is clever. He moves his Skull Crushers right up to like an inch shy of my Dark Riders. So now I can't charge his Skull Crushers because my Dark Riders are in the way. And if I try and move back, I still won't be far enough away that he won't be able to charge the Dark Riders and kill them and overrun through. So I'm not going to be able to charge him on my turn 2 with the Cold One Knights, which is a problem. And then he also, I guess, moves up his trolls somewhat and flies his mage around behind my flank. So that's his movement. Now, in his magic phase, he doesn't cast anything successfully, but that's because I had to use my Dispel Scroll to stop, I think it was a big Searing Doom. I believe he also tried to cast Final Transmutation on my Cold One Knights, and I think I dispelled that with regular dice. So I think that's why this picture is here. I think it's because just to indicate that he didn't really do anything in his magic. Now in his shooting, he fires his Hell Cannon and my Dragon, and he rolls a misfire, and I'm thinking, oh, that's great. But then he rolls on the table and he gets a 6, which is the one where it's one perfectly on target shot, but it's resolved at full strength, even if it's under the template instead of the hole. But it doesn't get to shoot again. Something like oh crap, he's going to kill my mage lord, my lord off of my dragon, or he's going to kill my dragon on turn 1, and it'll be just like when I played this list against the Skaven. But he rolls to wound the dragon, and he rolls a 1. And then he rolls to wound the rider, and I make my regeneration save. So he does no damage at all with the Hell Cannon, and it now can't fire for the rest of the game. So I thought that was awesome. Then in close combat, he's got these 2 dogs fighting my Dark Riders, and I thought that this was just going to be a great fight for me because I get 8 attacks, half of those have hatred rerolls, and he only has the 2 dogs. So I thought these Dark Riders should easily kill the dogs, and then be free to reform and move in my next turn and so forth. But they roll and they kill 1 dog, and the dogs roll. The one surviving dog rolls and kills one of my Dark Riders in return. So the Dark Riders lose and they hold, and now they're sitting here in the way of my Black Guard, just generally screwing everything up on this flank. So that's frustrating. So moving on to Dark Elf turn 2. I don't have good pictures of this, and it's very frustrating because this turned out to be incredibly important, but let me see if I can go through it. So on my left, I charge my dragon into his Gorbeast chariot, and my thought here is that what I'm hoping I can do is I can charge the Gorbeast chariot, do a bunch of wounds to it, not enough to kill it, but several wounds, beat it by maybe 3 or 4 in combat. He's going to be outside of the range of his battle standard bearer. He won't be steadfast, so hopefully that breaks. And then I can reform to face his warriors, and I'm pretty comfortable with just the dragon versus a unit of warriors. Then I, on my right here, so I can't charge his skull crushers, and I've got because my Dark Riders are in the way. And so what I do is I move the Dark Riders back and I swing them. So what I'm hoping to do is to get a situation where he can either charge the Dark Riders, and if he does that, he's going to have to overrun past my Cold One Knights without being able to overrun into them, and then open me up to a flank charge against his Skull Crushers, or he can refuse to charge. And if he does that, I'll be able to wheel in such a way that I can charge him. And apart from that, I guess I try and advance my Black Guard a little bit, but they can't really move because my Dark Riders that are locked in combat with his dogs are still in the way. My shooting and magic isn't really impressive because I don't have a mage, and I've just got crossbows left. I think I kill maybe a couple chosen, but nothing really important. In close combat, my Dark Riders fail to wound his remaining dog, and they win combat because of a musician. The dog breaks, and I decide to pursue him to try and get my Dark Riders out here to hopefully use the flee in order to prevent his chosen from getting a charge against my Black Guard until they're really ready. And I don't have the best picture for it again, because I guess I just missed some pictures. But my dragon fights the Gorby's chariot, and it does, I want to say, 2 or 3 wounds. It wins combat, and he takes a leadership test on leadership like 5 maybe, and he passes. So now I'm stuck here fighting this chariot, and I'm going to get flank charged by his warriors. So I'm not excited about that. So this brings us to Warriors turn 2. On my left, his chosen charge my Dark Riders. They flee, and the way the positioning works out, the chosen try to redirect into my Black Guard, but they can't, and so they just kind of wind up stranded like that. His other warriors, as expected, charge the flank of my dragon, so I'm now stuck in fighting Nurgle warriors and a dragon. And then on my right, what he does is his unit of trolls charge my Dark Riders. And I hold with my Dark Riders, thinking, that if I flee and get out of the way, then he'll be able to charge my Cold Wind Knights with his Skull Crushers. But what he does is he then charges my Dark Riders that are now stuck in place with the Skull Crushers. And because the Dark Riders are already engaged by the trolls, he's able to line up against them differently, so that the end of his unit is way out here, so that when he kills them and overruns, he's going to overrun into the cold ones. And I didn't see this at all when I was trying to set this up, and this means everything's going to go wrong on this flank. My cold ones are going to get charged by Skull Crushers, and they're just not going to be able to win that fight without the strength bonus from their lances. Then, to make matters worse, he gets a long charge with his chariot into my crossbowman. I think I put a wound on him with a stand and shoot, but, that's not going to be enough. And apart from that, he swings his sorcerer around the back of my army, facing my Cold Wind Knights. Then, in the magic phase, this is where my lack of any kind of magic defense is really starting to hurt me. He casts the final transmutation on my Cold Wind Knights, and he kills, I guess, 5 of them, plus the Hydra Banner BSB. So, and of course he needed to roll a 6 to kill the BSB, and he still did. So now I don't have a Battle Standard Bearer, and my Cold Wind Knights aren't getting the bonus attacks on the turn that they charge, and they're at about half strength, so that's very bad. So that brings us to combat. With the Warriors against my Dragon and the Gore Beast, basically, he has to challenge me, so I fight a challenge with his unit champion, and I kill him. I don't remember who wins that combat. I might win, or I might lose by 1. Either way, everybody stays put. And then, obviously, the Dark Riders get wiped out, and he's going to go ahead and, as expected, overrun with his Skull Crushers into the remains of my Knights. Also, his chariot kills like half of my crossbowmen. They're still steadfast, but they hold. So they lose and they hold. And then this is just a picture of the board at the end of turn 2. So that's more or less the situation. So going into my turn 3, I don't really have a lot to do in my movement phase. My Dark Riders are still in the way, so they're preventing my warriors, my Black Guard, from charging his chosen. And basically everything else is in combat. So I don't charge, but then my Dark Riders fail their rally check, and they keep running through the Black Guard. So now the Chosen have a clear charge, but I didn't get one, so that stinks. And I don't really have anything to do in Magic, so that's pretty much my turn up until the close combat phase. So in close combat, first I forgot to mention earlier, he cast Plague of Rust on my Dragon Rider successfully, so I now only have a 3-up save on the Rider and a 4-up save on the Dragon. But even with that, I think I'd take a wound on the Dragon, or maybe a wound on the Rider, I'm not sure. Most of his attacks were directed against the Rider, and I was rolling very well with my regeneration saves. And then I kill several warriors. I win combat, but both his warriors and the chariot hold. And then over, I guess, my Knights, he's going to kill like 3 of them. The Knights lose, but they make a leadership check on like 6 or something, and they hold. And his chariot is going to finish off my He's going to finish off my crossbowmen. Well, or he's not going to finish them off. He's going to kill almost all of them, and the remainder are going to flee. He's going to pursue and catch them, and he's going to hit my Cauldron of Blood. And yeah, so this is... I don't have much control over the game at this point because everything's in combat, and these combats are not very good. So in his turn 3, the only big thing in his movement phase is his Chosen are going to attempt to charge my Blackguard, but they flub the roll and fail it. In his magic phase, he's going to cast Plague of Rust on my Dragon again, so it's now a 4-up save on the Rider and a 5-up on the Dragon itself, which is just not good enough. So that's all concerning. And then in combat, I've got good news and I've got real bad news. The good news is my Cauldron rolls a ton of poison attacks and manages to kill the chariot at a loss of, I think they lost like 1 crew member from the impact hits and nothing else. So that's pretty cool. But the Cauldron Knights are obliterated, and his Skull Crushers get to reform to face towards my warriors and my Blackguard on the other side of the board. And then in combat, the dragon is still fighting the Gorby's Chariot, and in this turn he's going to finish off the warrior unit, but the Gorby's Chariot is still there and it'll hold. So at the end of the turn, I've got my dragon left with wounds on the dragon and the rider fighting his Gorby's Chariot. I've got my Blackguard facing off against his Chosen. I've got my warriors left and my Cauldron left, but that's it. And he's got those Skull Crushers coming at me and his big Metal Mage still alive. So in my turn, I don't have a lot left. My Blackguard are going to charge his Chosen. They're going to get powered up by the Cauldron. I don't have any magic. I don't have any shooting, so we go, I guess, straight to combat. And they're going to kill all of the Chosen except for the Standard Bearer and his Battle Standard Bearer, and in return they're going to take a bunch of 10 wounds. They're going to win combat by a point or 2, and then the Chosen break, which means since both of the surviving guys are carrying banners, they're both auto-killed. So they break, and then my Blackguard are going to reform. Now, I wasn't thinking this through. They reform to be 5 wide and 2 deep, and to face the Skull Crushers, and really they needed to stay 1 deep so that they could just maximize attacks, because their only real chance against those Skull Crushers is to kill a couple of them before they get to swing, and I just needed to maximize, to get as many attacks as possible, because he's still going to get 4 Crushers attacking me, even if I'm only 5 wide, because he gets, attacks through the corners. So that was dumb. And then in combat, I actually misspoke earlier. I didn't kill the rest of his warriors last turn. I killed the rest of his warriors in this round of combat, and the Gorby's Chariot holds. So now my lord is just fighting the Gorby's Chariot, and both he and the dragon are pretty severely wounded. So this is the board at the end of my turn 4. So my pictures have gotten a little out of order here on out, so I'm a little fuzzy on the rest of the timeline. But basically what happens is his Skull Crushers charge my my Blackguard, and he also moves his Wizard Lord up to be near my warriors. In his magic phase, he hits my warriors with Final Transmutation. It kills 10, but they pass their panic checks, so whatever. But in close combat, I believe the way this works is that in his turn, he kills my Lord and reduces my Dragon to 1 or 2 wounds with his Gorby's Chariot, which I am just failing to hit and wound. And his Skull Crushers, he's going to lose 1 Crusher, but they're going to wipe out the rest of my Blackguard and overrun. Their overrun won't take them into the dragon, but they're going to be right there behind it. And then on my turn, I really won't have anything to do that's worth doing, so we're just going to fight another round here with the dragon, and the dragon is going to fluff its attacks, wind up losing combat by 1, fail its break check, run away. It gets away, but see now, because it flooded my turn, it's not going to get to rally, and he'll be able to immediately charge it again with his Gorby's Chariot, or his Crushers, or his Sorcerer Lord. So at this point, I go ahead and concede. I just don't have anything left on the table that can fight, and have totally failed to make a dent in this stupid Gorby's Chariot or his Crushers, and I never had a plan for killing his Zinch Wizard Lord on a disc. So that's the game. So that's it. We've got another pretty resounding loss to Warriors of Chaos. Jeez. I have some days where I really, really don't like Skull Crushers, and today is one of them. So yeah, I mean it's just it's a difficult matchup here. The Market Nurgle really did a number on my dragon, where I even with crazy high weapon skill, 6 on the dragon, 7 on the rider, it's amazing how difficult it is to put wounds on a Gorby's chariot, because because of the Market Nurgle, one needing forced to hit, forced to wound, it's still getting armor saves. And that's from a dragon and an elf lord with a strength 6 magic sword. So, that was unfortunate. Basically, I screwed up the whole kind of redirecting game on the right flank. And if I hadn't done that, it would have been different. Obviously those crushers would have gone down if they'd been charged by my Coldon Knights rather than charging them. And on my left flank, I really needed that Gorby's chariot to break. When I first charged with a dragon, but it didn't. And I guess that's the trouble with playing lists like this. You have all these fast, kind of hard-hitting elements. You need things to break when you charge them because you can't really make the long grind-out game work. Especially in this case where I didn't have any real magic defense against this metal mage flying around and messing my guys up. So, it's. Warriors is a tough match. This list has some limitations, and when you don't play a type game, and I didn't play a type game here, it fails really, really spectacularly. All right, well that's it. I did play another game on the same day, and that's going to be against Tomb Kings using my ETC comp list. And hopefully I'll have that report up before too long. So I hope everybody enjoyed, and thanks for listening.